You ever watch somebody try to take over your whole world while you're still standing there in your funeral clothes wondering if you're in some sort of bad sitcom? That's exactly where I was standing outside the courthouse in my black suit holding an injunction with Karen's name on it. And Karen, bless her heart, standing there blinking at the judge's signature like I'd just handed her the script to an alien language. She starts up, "You can't do this. I'm the HOA president." And I swear to you, I could have laughed. But instead, I looked her right in the eye and said, "Well, I'm the Assistant Attorney General for the state of Pennsylvania. Why don't you take a seat?" See, 3 weeks before that, I'd buried my grandfather, Walter Richter, Korean War vet, stubborn as a mule and the last man on this side of Meadowbrook Estates who refused to sell his land to the HOA no matter how shiny their brochures or how sweet their little offers. For 60 years, Grandpa's 120 acres sat right at the edge of what Karen liked to call Phase 3 expansion. And let me tell you, Karen was the type who wore a cream blazer in summer and used words like neighborhood synergy with a straight face. She tried to ban garden gnomes for crying out loud. I'd spent the last 8 years chasing down white-collar crooks and polluters, even had my day in front of the state Supreme Court. But nothing prepared me for what this woman was about to pull. The day we buried Grandpa, we're still reading his will in the funeral home parking lot. Real classy scene. Let me tell you, in up struts Karen with a manila envelope and a look on her face like she's about to save us from ourselves. "David, I'm so sorry for your loss. Walter was such a unique neighbor. And then, like she's doing us a favor, she slides this envelope across my rental car hood. Just some voluntary annexation paperwork, all very routine, really. That's HOA speak for sign. This let us slap grass height restrictions on your cornfield and get ready to have your farm gobbled up by the subdivision as soon as you blink. We declined as politely as we could with dirt still under our fingernails from the gravesite. But Karen, she wasn't one to let a thing like family mourning slow her down. The next morning, she shows up with a clipboard, 2 HOA board members in tow, looking about as thrilled to be there as cats in a bathtub. She points at our fence, the one that's been there since Eisenhower was president, and starts with her visual harmony nonsense. This fence disrupts the flow of our community aesthetic. You know what I mean? Pete, one of her board members, actually looks embarrassed. The other clipboard queen just nods like she's being paid by the hour. I put down my bucket and walk up. "Karen, that fence was here 40 years before Meadowbrook was even a twinkle in a developer's eye, and it's not moving." For a second, I swear she almost drops her smile, but nope, right back up it goes. "We're prepared to offer compensation for upgrades," she says, handing me a check for $300. I couldn't help but laugh. That fence cost more than that just to fix a few years back. When I ask them to leave, Karen gets this glint in her eye. "Well then, I suppose we'll need to explore eminent domain alternatives." And she starts snapping pictures of our barn, the mailbox, the old tractor like she's building a case file. Into her phone she mutters, "Property owners refuse to comply with reasonable community standards. Escalation protocols initiated." Here's the kicker. Karen had done her homework on the land, but not on me. She knew Grandpa was stubborn, but she had no clue that his grandson was the guy state agencies called when they wanted to nail crooked municipalities or fight off land grabbers just like her. She thought I'd just roll over, but she'd never met a Richter. The next week it was open season on our place. Karen files a noise complaint about the rooster, says his 4 a.m. crowing violates quiet enjoyment rules, sends certified letters about our unsightly agricultural equipment, even calls the health department claiming our compost pile is a biohazard. Each one of these complaints is meticulously photographed, stamped, and delivered like she's auditioning for HOA Tyrant of the Year. She was relentless, like she'd found her true calling somewhere between a traffic cop and a Bond villain. But see, Karen made her mistake right there. She thought I was another tired, grieving heir who'd fold under pressure. Maybe that worked on other families. But me, I'd spent years in courtrooms tearing apart cases 10 times nastier than hers. She files a zoning complaint about our livestock, writes up a 12-page manifesto on how our old factory disruptions and property value degradation are killing the dream of Meadowbrook. I show up with land survey records from the 1800s, agricultural exemptions, county right to farm laws. I could have taught a class on the stuff. She tries to stick us with a $2,000 community improvement bill for landscaping we never wanted. I filed a restraining order, told her to produce one shred of legal authority. Of course she couldn't. That's when Karen really started to lose it. Suddenly she's quoting HOA bylaws she found on some Facebook group saying our land falls under transitional jurisdiction. I sent her a formal cease and desist letter, citations from a dozen cases, state preemption laws highlighted in yellow. Told her nicely to back off or it'd get ugly. She calls my office at work screaming about legal intimidation and threatens to file a bar complaint against me. You want to know what career suicide looks like? Try filing a frivolous complaint against an assistant attorney general. See how that works out. So I did what any stubborn farm kid with a law degree and a chip on his shoulder would do. I sued the HOA. Harassment, fraudulent annexation, violation of agricultural protection statutes. And I didn't just sue to win, I sued to make sure Karen and her little circle would never pull this stunt on another farmer. The lawsuit was a barn burner, punitive damages, attorney fees, a permanent injunction barring the HOA from even sniffing at agricultural land. Karen's lawyer took one look and nearly sprinted for the hills. Then came discovery emails, board meeting minutes, voicemails where Karen bragged about bringing the holdouts to heel. Turns out she'd targeted half a dozen families just like us, cooked up fake violations, even set up a slush fund for expansion emergencies. The HOA treasurer, Bob, who seemed like a nice guy just trying to balance the books, had been sounding the alarm for months. Karen threatened to have him kicked off the board for micromanagement. In one email, she literally wrote, "If we just bury them in paperwork, they'll fold like everyone else." That email went straight to Exhibit A. But wait, it gets better. Karen had been billing the HOA $150 an hour as a paralegal. Only legal course she'd ever taken was a 3-week seminar at the community college 15 years ago. It was fraud clear as day. Her whole campaign unraveled. During her deposition, she's rambling about livestock compatibility matrices and appropriate agricultural aesthetics, couldn't define a single term, hands me a binder full of Pinterest printouts and home and garden clippings. The court reporter actually had to slow her down. She was talking so fast, desperate to keep control. By the first hearing, her own lawyer bailed. By the second, she's standing alone, clutching a folder of Wikipedia pages about property law, hair falling out of her bun cream blazer, looking like it just lost a fight with a car seat. The judge didn't hesitate, fined Karen $12,000, stripped her of her presidency, banned her from ever serving on another board for 15 years. The HOA got hammered, too, ordered to pay damages, apologize in writing to every landowner they harassed, and attend actual classes on what the law means. Walking out of court, I passed 4 other farmers who'd gotten the same treatment. They clapped me on the back like I'd just won the Super Bowl. Karen came out a while later muttering about intentional agricultural resistance like it was some secret society. I don't think she even understood the words anymore. She stared at those court papers like she could make them disappear if she just squinted hard enough. "This isn't over," she hissed, voice shaking. "You can't just walk in and destroy everything I built." I looked at her folder under my arm, sun shining over those acres. Grandpa fought so hard to keep. And I said, "Karen, I didn't destroy anything. I just finally called it what it was." And that's how it ended, at least for now. Out there on the courthouse steps, lines were drawn, sides were chosen, and I have a feeling folks will be talking about it every time a new HOA president gets a little too bold. But tell me, do you think I was right to fight fire with fire, or is there ever a way to find peace between the people who build a community and the ones who just want to own it? Drop your take in the comments, because out here the story never really ends.